Naledi was 35 when life delivered a blow that felt not just cruel, but utterly devastating. For 7 years, she had navigated the intricate journey of marriage alongside her husband, each year punctuated by the fervent, yet agonizingly unsuccessful, attempts to conceive a child. This shared dream, this deep-seated yearning for parenthood, had become a cornerstone of their life together, a hope they clung to through countless cycles of anticipation and crushing disappointment. Then, without warning, her husband vanished. He left abruptly, his departure marked only by a brief, stark message placed upon the cool, impersonal surface of the dining table. Its words were brutally simple: "I can't endure this any longer. My apologies." And with that chilling finality, his physical presence, the warmth of his hand, the sound of his voice, everything that comprised his being in her life, was instantaneously extinguished. There was no final goodbye, no face-to-face exchange to offer closure, only an aching, profound void where affection, partnership, and shared dreams had once resided. She picked up the small note, her fingers tracing the ink as if hoping the simple characters might magically rearrange themselves, offering a different explanation, a softer truth. But the words remained immutable, solidifying the crushing reality of her abandonment, just as the vast, suffocating loneliness that immediately enveloped her refused to dissipate. Naledi found herself wrestling with a tangled web of emotions, a deep-seated sense of disgrace, a sorrow so heavy it felt physical, and the unbearable weight of shattered aspirations, hopes for a future she had so vividly imagined, now slipping through her grasp like fine sand. More than anything else in the world, she had yearned with every fiber of her being to become a mother, to nurture life, to build a family. Now, in the brutal aftermath, she was devastatingly solitary, undeniably childless, unexpectedly divorced, and adrift in a turbulent sea of questions that had no immediate answers. Who was she now, stripped of the identity she had built within her marriage? Who was she without the prospect of a family unit, the central pillar of her deepest desire? The silence in her small home was deafening, amplifying the echoes of what had been lost. Yet, Naledi possessed a spirit forged in resilience, a quiet strength unwilling to remain indefinitely submerged beneath the waves of pain and despair. Her grief was profound, but it did not consume her entirely. Then, one transformative afternoon, while she was offering her time and a gentle smile at a local children's shelter, a place she had gravitated towards perhaps seeking a faint echo of the maternal purpose she craved, she encountered 5 young boys whose collective presence irrevocably altered the trajectory of her life. They were siblings, a tight-knit unit bound by shared tragedy, none older than 10 years of age. They were clad in a patchwork of ill-fitting, disparate attire, their small frames seeming too fragile for the weight of their history, and their eyes, remarkably old for their years, were filled with unspoken inquiries, hesitant hope, and a profound, unsettling stillness. Their parents, she learned, had tragically perished in a sudden, devastating blaze, leaving them orphaned and utterly without kinship willing or able to take on the immense responsibility of raising them. Relatives, burdened by their own lives or simply reluctant to undertake such a monumental task, had turned them away, unwilling to absorb 5 children simultaneously into their homes. One welfare worker, her voice tinged with a weary resignation, had described them as a collective burden nobody desired. But Naledi looked at these 5 small, vulnerable figures and perceived far beyond mere neglected youths, statistics of misfortune. She recognized a shared resonance within them, the palpable ache of suffering, the gnawing trepidation of the unknown, and the profound stillness born from repeated disappointment and abandonment. Their story mirrored, in a stark and painful way, the abandonment she herself had recently experienced, the feeling of being unwanted. Set aside. That night, sleep was an elusive stranger. Their countenances, a mix of apprehension and quiet resilience, remained indelibly imprinted upon her mind. She reflected, with a bittersweet pang, on her former fervent desire to be a mother, the dream that had felt so tragically and definitively thwarted. And now, unexpectedly, here was a possibility, raw and unplanned. Not the idyllic, predetermined existence she had once meticulously envisioned, the loving partner, the carefully planned pregnancies, the picture-perfect nursery, but a genuine, unvarnished form of affection presenting itself, demanding courage and sacrifice. She didn't possess great wealth, her income was modest, her dwelling small and aging, and there was certainly no partner to share the load, the financial strain, or the emotional weight of raising 5 children. Yet, she held within her chest a heart that felt inexplicably vast, brimming with an almost overwhelming capacity for love, a love that desperately yearned for expression, for a purpose, for somewhere to land. So, driven by an instinct deeper than logic or fear, she resolved to act. It was a decision made not lightly, but with a fierce certainty that transcended the considerable obstacles. Gradually, cautiously at first, she welcomed them into her modest dwelling, transforming it from a place of quiet solitude into one bustling with unexpected life. First came Kwame, the eldest at 10, reserved and quiet, but possessing a fierce, protective loyalty towards his younger brothers that was immediately evident. Then Seko, the introspective one, whose large, dark eyes seemed perpetually watchful, absorbing the world around him with a quiet intensity. The twins, Idris and Omar, inseparable in their mischief and boundless energy, arrived next. Their laughter, infectious and unrestrained, possessed the remarkable ability to dispel any gloom that lingered in the corners of the house. And finally, little Jabari, just 5 years old, with cheeks so soft they seemed to invite a gentle touch and a spirit radiating innocent wonder. The initial period that followed was one of intense, often overwhelming disarray. The transition was seismic, a constant negotiation between structure and chaos. Educational expenses mounted significantly and unpredictably, requiring careful, often difficult, budgeting. Nourishment was occasionally limited, stretching meager resources to feed growing bodies, and restful nights became a rare luxury as small feet padded through the darkness or urgent needs arose. There were outbursts of temper born of trauma and adjustment, damaged furnishings from boisterous play, and minor injuries requiring frequent, often worrying visits to the local dispensary. The arrival of the teenage years brought a tempestuous new phase. Tempers ignited more fiercely, arguments escalated beyond childish squabbles, and portals were shut with resounding, symbolic force as they navigated the complexities of identity and independence. It was a period that tested Naledi's patience and strength to their absolute limits. But amidst the disarray, the sleepless nights, and the constant challenges, something precious, something profoundly beautiful, began to blossom. Interspersed with the chaos were moments of pure, unadulterated joy, times when they danced in the rain in the small yard, barefoot and laughing with an unrestrained joy that felt almost miraculous. They sang together on Sunday mornings, gospel melodies filling their small living room, their voices, young and old, harmonizing in a tapestry of faith and belonging, as they shared steaming plates of jollof rice and exchanged stories of their week, their dreams, their fears. Naledi, with quiet patience and unwavering love, showed them how to fasten a necktie for a special occasion, how to offer a sincere apology after a disagreement, how to prepare nourishing meals that smelled of home, and, above all else, how to cherish one another and themselves. She wasn't flawless. There were undoubtedly days, even weeks, when she experienced moments of silent, solitary tears in the privacy of her bedroom, feeling utterly overburdened, uncertain if she was doing enough. If she was enough. But she never yielded to the despair. Every embrace offered, every necessary reprimand delivered, every tale shared in hushed tones before sleep, each action was offered with a depth of dedication and selflessness synonymous with genuine maternal care, a love not defined by biology but by unwavering presence and sacrifice. And slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the boys began to flourish under her care, like resilient saplings finding fertile ground after a storm. Kwame, the eldest, secured entry to a prestigious institution of higher education via a hard-earned scholarship, his quiet determination translating into academic success. Seko, the introspective one, initiated an online platform focused on emerging technology, a venture that garnered considerable notice and demonstrated his keen intellect and foresight. The twins, Idris and Omar, channeling their combined energy and creativity, established a modest apparel venture that, surprisingly and rapidly, prospered, their designs finding an audience. Jabari, the youngest, blossomed, displaying a remarkable musical talent, a voice that astonished all who heard it, capable of conveying deep emotion. As the years flowed by, carrying with them the inevitable tides of change, they established their own households, building independent lives. Some even relocated internationally for work and studies, chasing opportunities that took them across continents. Yet, regardless of distance or circumstance, their paths, guided by an invisible magnetic pull, inevitably led back to her abode. Naledi's modest dwelling, the crucible where their found family was forged, served as their steadfast mooring, a constant source of comfort and belonging, always brimming with shared moments, collective memories, and the distinct flavor of merriment that only true family can create. She sought nothing for herself in return, witnessing their happiness, their success, their growth into compassionate and capable men, constituted more than sufficient recompense for every sacrifice she had made. Time flowed ceaselessly, a river carrying them forward. Initially, its current felt subtle, a gentle progression, then accelerating unexpectedly before one could fully comprehend the passage of years. Nalady's hair, once dark, silvered with the elegant passage of age, each strand a testament to time and experience. Her hands, once smooth, bore the indelible imprints of countless hours spent in domestic labor, washing clothes, preparing meals, tending to scraped knees, and, most importantly, nurturing the 5 lives entrusted to her care. But her spirit, the core of her being, remained remarkably resilient, vibrant, and full of life. She watched, her heart swelling with a quiet, profound pride, as her sons flourished into upright, honorable men, distinguished not merely by their physical stature but by their integrity, their kindness, and the principles she had instilled in them. Kwame distinguished himself as an esteemed engineer, his calm demeanor and steady direction making him a respected leader in his field. Seko carved out a significant reputation in the dynamic technology sector, developing applications that fostered connection and advancement within communities, his initial introspection giving way to impactful creation. Idris and Omar expanded their apparel enterprise internationally, their designs sought after, even adorning notable figures and esteemed individuals around the globe. Jabari, possessing that remarkable voice, became a celebrated musician, his melodies and lyrics resonating with audiences through songs that spoke of resilience, optimism, and the transformative power of affection, themes he knew intimately. They traversed the globe, their individual successes taking them to different corners of the world. Yet, every significant occasion, festive periods that spoke of warmth and togetherness, anniversaries marking important milestones, family assemblies that reaffirmed their bond, inevitably drew them back, like homing pigeons, to the singular individual who had enabled it all, who had provided the foundation upon which they built their lives, Nalady. She never requested anything, not a lavish gift. Not even a verbal expression of thanks, believing their happiness was gratitude enough. But deep within, she harbored a quiet, unspoken aspiration that extended beyond the modest dwelling she had occupied for over 3 decades. Now showing its age, the roof succumbed to leaks during heavy rainfall, the floorboards groaned underfoot with every step, a symphony of creaks and sighs, and the paint, once vibrant, had long since faded, peeling in places, a metaphor for the passage of time within its walls. Still, she voiced no complaint, accepting the limitations of her circumstances with characteristic grace. On the morning of her 60th birthday, a milestone she reached surrounded by the life she had built, she awoke not to the usual quiet of her home, but to the rich aroma of newly baked bread and the comforting scent of brewed coffee. Her sons had returned home, all 5 of them, converging from different points on the compass. They inundated the residence with their lively mirth and overlapping conversation, engaging in playful banter, falling into familiar rhythms as if they were still the young boys who had arrived on her doorstep years ago. She smiled, observing the joyous chaos from her vantage point on the weathered wooden seat outdoors, the morning sun warming her face. Life had certainly presented its challenges, its moments of profound pain and struggle, but this moment, this singular, beautiful moment filled with the sounds of her children, was everything she had ever truly desired, a tangible manifestation of a love that had triumphed over adversity. Then Kwame, the steady eldest, advanced towards her, clutching an object enveloped in a soft, pale fabric. "Mama," he said softly, his voice gentle but resonant with emotion. "We've prepared something special for you." The others gathered around her, their faces alight with anticipation, their eyes reflecting a shared secret and a deep affection. She regarded them, a sense of pleasant befuddlement washing over her, yet intrigued by their collective excitement. Such offerings were infrequent, she had always gently, but firmly, instructed them against expending their hard-earned funds on her, preferring they invest in their own futures. But this, she sensed, was no minor token, no simple birthday card. Kwame carefully unwrapped the cloth, revealing a substantial, gleaming silver key fastened to a satin ribbon, catching the morning light. Nalady blinked, her mind struggling to grasp the significance. "What might this be?" she inquired, her voice barely a whisper, laced with surprise. Seko stepped forward, his ever-watchful eyes crinkling at the corners with a warm smile. "It belongs to you now, Mama." Then, in a synchronized movement, Idris and Omar moved aside, unveiling a vehicle parked just beyond the entrance gate, a sleek, modern sedan that looked entirely out of place beside her aging home. But it was what lay within the vehicle that truly captured her attention: stunning, lustrous photographs depicting a completely new residence, expansive, contemporary, featuring pristine white walls that spoke of freshness and new beginnings, generous windows that invited the light and the world indoors, and a garden overflowing with blossoms, a riot of color and life. It was a dwelling that existed only in her wildest, most secret dreams. "We constructed it together, Mama," Jabari said, kneeling beside her, his young face earnest and full of love. "For you, for us, for our family. A place big enough for all of us, always." Moisture gathered in her eyes, blurring the edges of the photographs, rendering her utterly speechless. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic, joyful rhythm, as if seeking release from the confines of her chest. All those years of selflessness, of giving without expectation of return, of pouring every ounce of her being into raising them, had culminated in this breathtaking instant, this unimaginable gift. I am at a loss for words," she finally managed, her voice trembling with the force of suppressed emotion. "You don't have to say anything, Mama," Kwame said gently, his voice filled with understanding. "We just want you to know. We remember everything. Every single night you remained awake, worrying about how you would cover educational expenses. Every single time you managed to cook a meal with whatever sustenance was available, making sure we might eat even when resources were scarce. Every embrace you gave, every reprimand you delivered because you cared, every supplication you made on our behalf. You provided us with everything: shelter, food, love, hope, when no one else in the world would or could." They assisted her in rising, their hands steadying her, gently guiding her towards the waiting vehicle. As they drove away from the dwelling she had called home for so many years, the house that held the history of their becoming, she cast a final glance backward, not with sorrow for what she was leaving, but with profound, overwhelming thankfulness for what it had contained and what it had allowed her to build. That dwelling, humble though it was, contained a lifetime of recollections, of mirth and sorrow, of development and hardship, and, most importantly, of affection, an abundance, a reservoir, of deep, abiding affection. The new residence was everything Naledi had never conceived she deserved, a testament to a love she had sown. Her sons had constructed it with more than just mortar, bricks, and wood. It was built from appreciation, remembrance, and the purest intention of giving back. She moved in gingerly, her hand tracing the smooth surfaces of the walls, running her fingers along the countertops, almost as if she feared they might dissipate beneath her touch, a beautiful mirage. There was a large, spacious culinary space where she could prepare meals for all of them once more, a joy she had deeply missed as they grew and moved away. There was an expansive communal area, filled with comfortable seating, where they could gather as they had in days past, their voices filling the space with laughter and conversation. And there was a garden overflowing with vibrant roses, her preferred bloom, their fragrance filling the air, a constant, gentle reminder of beauty and growth. But the surprises orchestrated by her loving sons did not cease there. Weeks after relocating, after she had begun to settle into the rhythms of her new, beautiful life, Kwame sat beside her on the porch one evening as twilight painted the sky in hues of orange and purple. "Mama," he began, his voice thoughtful. "We wish to perform another special act for you." She regarded him, curious, her heart already full from the life they had given her. "We want to give you something else. Something that is solely yours, that provides you with absolute peace of mind." Seko appeared then, bearing a substantial folder, which he presented to her with careful reverence. "What is this, my sons?" she inquired, her brow furrowed slightly in surprise. "A gift?" Seko offered, a gentle smile on his face. "A promise?" Idris added, stepping closer. Omar smiled broadly. "From us to you, Mama. For everything." She opened the folder, her fingers trembling slightly, and froze. Within lay official papers, duly signed, sealed, and notarized, documentation for a trust fund established in her name, financed collectively by all 5 of them. It was sufficient to guarantee that she would never again face financial concern, covering healthcare, allowing for travel should she desire to see the world, even providing the capital for the initiation of a modest enterprise should she ever wish to pursue a new passion or project. It was freedom, security, and deep gratitude in paper form. "You did this, for me," she whispered, the weight of their generosity staggering. They all nodded, their faces reflecting a shared purpose and a deep, abiding love. "We are indebted to you entirely, Mama," Kwame said, his voice thick with emotion. "You granted us existence, a future, a family, when we possessed none of those things. Now, it is our opportunity, our privilege, to ensure your comfort, your security, and your well-being for all the years to come." Tears flowed freely down her cheeks then, not born of sorrow or even simple happiness, but of a profound, steadfast sense of accomplishment, of vindication, of a love that had given everything and, in doing so, had received the most unexpected and precious return. This, she reflected through her tears, was not at all how her life was supposed to unfold according to the plans she had once meticulously laid. Once, she had dreamed of a partner by her side, of children who shared her lineage, of a family forged by biological ties, following a predictable, socially sanctioned path. Instead, life had delivered hardship, dismissal, and a crushing emptiness that had threatened to break her. But then came 5 little boys, arriving like a force of nature, who needed her more desperately, perhaps, than anyone in the world ever had before, or ever would again. And through the act of loving and raising them, she hadn't just saved them, she had found herself, discovered a strength and a purpose she never knew she possessed. Months after her 60th birthday, another event unfolded, equally unlooked for and bordering on the extraordinary, a public declaration of their unbreakable bond. Individually, each son resolved to marry, to build their own families, but not in separate ceremonies scattered across months or years. Instead, they made a collective decision, a singular plan that astonished everyone who heard of it. They planned a grand, unified matrimonial ceremony, 5 elegantly attired grooms, standing tall and proud, 5 radiant brides, glowing with happiness, melodies of joy and celebration resonating widely through the air, all culminating on one magnificent, momentous day. It was a celebration honoring not only their individual unions, the joining of their lives with their chosen partners, but, crucially, it was a tribute to the woman who had imparted to them the true essence of affection, the meaning of commitment, and the strength of family. The collective wedding became the subject of widespread conversation, a heartwarming story shared across the area, a local legend in the making. 5 sleek suits, 5 glowing brides, music that echoed through the ether, reaching every ear, and a prime seating position, front and center, reserved solely for one individual, Naledi. Dressed in a vibrant royal blue, a color befitting royalty, she sat, tears of overwhelming emotion glistening in her eyes, a silent testament to her journey, and pride swelling in her chest until she felt it might burst. The master of ceremony, recognizing the unique heart of the occasion, did not even commence the proceedings by introducing the couples. He began with her. "Before we celebrate these 5 remarkable men and the beautiful women they have chosen to marry," he announced, his voice ringing with respect, "let us first honor the queen who raised them alone, with unwavering strength, and with boundless grace." The entire assembly, 100 strong, rose to their feet as one, and resounding applause, a wave of genuine admiration and respect, filled the air, washing over Naledi. And for the first time in her life, Naledi heard strangers, people she didn't know, spontaneously accord her the title of Queen, recognizing the silent, profound royalty of her maternal heart. After the wedding, photographs of the occasion circulated widely, capturing the joy, the unity, and the central, radiant figure of Naledi surrounded by her sons and their wives. Accounts were written about her extraordinary story in local newspapers, online platforms shared her journey, and groups reached out, inspired by her resilience and her capacity for love. A publisher, hearing the tale, proposed documenting her narrative in a book, sharing her quiet heroism with a wider audience. She regarded it all with a gentle smile, not seeking personal acclaim or recognition, but because the quiet acts of selflessness she had performed in the privacy of her home had at last gained a public recognition that might, perhaps, inspire others. Now, every Sunday, like clockwork, she hosts a midday meal, a vibrant, bustling gathering, for her sons, their wives, and the growing brood of grandchildren. The once quiet residence, the beautiful new house given to her by her sons, is now refilled, overflowing with the joyous laughter of young children, the occasional spill of juice requiring a quick wipe, and miniature vehicles appearing unexpectedly beneath the furniture, weaving their way through adult legs. Her grandchildren, the next generation of the family she built, call her Gogo Nality, a term of endearment and respect. Neighbors, witnessing the constant stream of visitors and the clear devotion of her sons, refer to her, with a mixture of awe and admiration, as the mother of kings. And Nality? She considers herself, with a quiet certainty that settles deep within her soul, truly, profoundly fortunate. She did not attain the life for which she initially prayed, the one society expected, the one she herself had envisioned. Instead, through loss and unexpected turns, she received something immeasurably, incomparably greater. She did not merely take in 5 orphaned boys, she cultivated, nurtured, and raised 5 kings, men of integrity, strength, and love. Nality's experience stands as a powerful testament that every existence holds significance, inherent worth, even during periods of emptiness, fracture, and profound uncertainty. She was not predetermined by destiny, nor defined by the pain inflicted upon her. Her life's purpose was not handed to her, rather, her deliberate choice to extend affection, care, and belonging when no one else would transform not only her life, but the lives of 5 others, changing everything. Without a partner by her side, without abundant affluence, without a clear, defined societal course before her, she ventured into the unknown, into the challenging, equipped with naught but empathy, courage, and a heart capable of expansive love. And, as her story beautifully illustrates, that was undeniably enough. Her tale serves as a poignant reminder that an individual's value, their worth, is not determined by societal classifications or conventional markers of success or family structure. Once perceived, perhaps even by herself in her darkest moments, as being without offspring, undesirable, overlooked, she transformed, through the eyes of 5 boys and the life they built together, into everything: a mentor, a guardian, a provider, a confidant, a matriarch, a maternal figure in its purest, most powerful form. Love, her journey teaches us, does not wait for ideal circumstances. It flourishes amidst disorder, during difficult times, and in moments of quiet, often unseen, devotion. And the affection and effort we extend into the world, particularly when given without anticipation of return, often circles back to us, amplified and abundant, in the most surprising and wonderful forms imaginable. Family, as Nality's life journey vividly illustrates, transcends biological ties. It is defined by presence, by steadfastness, by intentionality, and by a complete, unconditional generosity of spirit. Her suffering did not define her identity or her destiny. Her choices did. And in choosing love, repeatedly, sacrificially, she built a legacy far greater, far richer, than anything she ever could have imagined within the confines of her initial dreams. Because sometimes, what the world needs most, in its moments of greatest brokenness and need, is simply someone brave enough, kind enough, and loving enough to extend care, to open their heart and their home, and to simply choose love.